Hello, spiritual community. This is Brandon with ExpeditiousFool.com, putting mindfulness in motion. And today, here's a message. What are you living for? What are you living for? Right? So let's break it down. Are we living for our jobs? Are we living for our kids? Are we living for our families? Are we living for money? Are we living for our houses? Are we living for the stuff that we put in, right? We could say memories, right? Those only stay in the brain. Eventually, when you die, all of that stuff is gone. It's true. Your house usually ends up imprisoning folks today with the mortgage system and things like that. Your car usually ends up imprisoning people. Why? Because then you have to go to that job. It's not feeding your soul. It's not feeding the world. It's not feeding society. But maybe it'll make you a little bit more money, right? Maybe it will. Okay? Your kids, due to the compulsive way that we operate as humans without mindfulness, you damage your kids with your programming. Even the best parents in the world, they're seriously anxious, depressed individuals without mindfulness, teaching their kids to go into compulsion, teaching their kids to work those jobs, buy those houses, pay all that money for college, which really doesn't teach them how to do the job. So it's a pretty big scam based off of who approves who, right? You're going to teach them this, tell them to get the car, tell them to get the house, tell them to get that stable job, right? These are all things we want for our kids because we don't want them to suffer. We want them to have this stable comfort, right? So we say we live for our kids. Interesting, because the way that you're living is actually setting them up for depression, anxiety, slavery, and a meaningless life. If it is any bit tied to the economic system as far as how it currently stands in corporate world, you know, if your job is not an individual expression of your truth, then you're feeling unfulfilled. So why do you live? Why do you exist? You wonder why the most intelligent people have the highest rates of depression and suicide. Right? Is it because this world is just horrible and we should just die? No. It's because they don't know that extra step. Because when we look at things intellectually, you know, there is no point. If you look at it solely intellectually, there is no point of existence in this plane. Right? That's why I encourage you to follow your breath. Do daily mindfulness, because then you open up your human system physiologically. Science, folks, in order to manage our emotions, we have to manage this system, our nervous system. The way to manage that nervous system is through the breath. You know, get high on your own supply, right? So we do that, or we don't. That determines it. If you, at the end, feel fulfilled, and during, feel fulfilled or not. If you've lived your life for a job, for family, which a lot of times you'll find is attachment, for children, which a lot of times you'll find is attachment, not true love, because true love is unconditional love, meaning you'll let your kids go. You'll let them make those mistakes. You'll let them break their programming without telling them they have to go get that college. They have to go get that house. This is what security looks like. Don't lie to them. Security doesn't exist. It doesn't. It's an illusion. Just like your freedom if you don't have a daily mindfulness practice. It's an illusion because you've fallen into programming. You've fallen into programming of things that aren't real, things that will die, things that will leave you. And then everybody's left in the comparing game, right? So why do you live? What's the point? point is, if you open up your system to live your true expression, then you start living. If not, suicide in increments. You'll go your entire life never living, so what was the point? This is a question people don't ask. They accept, we have to pay to live here. We have to pay to live on a floating rock I was born on. Now I have to pay for the rest of my life, this fake dollars, to live here. I can't go off into the woods and just live there simply if I would like. What? I'll get in trouble in this country. Other countries, maybe that's okay, but in the country I live in, if I go out to any forest, even if it's a public forest, to live in, and I get caught, I'll get in trouble. Yep. Right? So it's this system that controls everything. So I understand why we tell everybody, why we feed into it, why it's so fearful to leave the system, why it's so fearful to actually find your joy, happiness, and fulfillment, which is through your breath. I understand why that's terrifying. I understand why people look at me and go, oh, that's crazy, woo-woo. Well, maybe for you. No, for the human physiological system. It's proven. Neurons that fire together wire together. Right? How do you remove anxiety? You focus your brain in an anxious state until it calms down, which is meditation, which is breath work. You can then use breath techniques to balance the nervous system if you're having extreme situations and you need a little bit more than just following the breath. You could do a breath exercise and then follow your breath, right? And what happens? You do this every day of your life. Now you start appreciating that breath, which if you think about it, it's kind of fun. You start appreciating the breath, which, what is that? Oh, life. Thankful with every single one, because through the breath, you manage the emotional system, you manage your nervous system, then you're able to see what is real and what is not. Your nervous system is your awareness. So once it's clear, you're able to be aware. All right, everybody, I hope this message speaks out to you. Why are you here? What are you doing? Are you committing suicide in increments? Or are you deciding to live your life? That's really the only choice. All right. Thank y'all so much. Hope you have the best day on purpose.